this was the first law that was passed based on an initiative that was promoted by civil society. So that was a very important feature of the law, because it really was created and designed with the needs of the civil society in mind. So the law was passed in 2002. So regarding the design of the law, it is important to keep in mind that this law, it's a very, very important law in terms of the history of access to information and transparency in the world. So the Mexican law, it's the first law that has this proactive disclosure part. And this proactive disclosure part is that there is basic information about governments that should be published all the time, regardless of information requests. And the other feature about this law was the creation of an institute that was going to oversight the implementation of the law. This was also innovative because in other cases, the right or the oversight function were either in the courts or in the ombudsman. So the Mexican law, it's the one that creates a specific instance for oversight, which is very important, as we will discuss later. And also the law establishes a very expedite and easy procedure for access to information. The law does not really establish that this procedure should be through the information technologies, but it does establish that the procedure should be free and expedite and as easy as possible so that people can use the law. The problem with the autonomy of the IFAI is that it is not stated in the Constitution. This is also because some administrative issues here, but the idea is that if you have autonomy stated in the Constitution, you can be a complete autonomous body, like the National University or the Ombudsman or the Electoral Institute. But we didn't have that in IFAI. So IFAI was part of the executive, and in the rules, there was no way to preserve that autonomy. So the commissioners were not very happy with this, because they were supposed to rule, and they were supposed to control access to information in the federal executive. And for that, they would really need to be autonomous in terms of the budget, of the resources, and in terms of the decision-making process, and in terms of the internal structures and internal and administrative decisions. And they finally found this ad hoc arrangement in which the institute is part of the executive, but it's the only instance that is not part of a line ministry. And that helped, I think that was very important for the institute. So they created an administrative code that states that the institute is going to be autonomous in terms of the budget and the decision-making process and internal things like administrative things. So the institute is ruled by 5 commissioners that should be, they have to accomplish with some requirements, but one of the most important requirements is that they should be, they should have knowledge on transparency and access to information issues. In the case of the first 5 commissioners, that was completely true. They were very engaged people, and they were very prepared. That's very important, that the commissioners are really well recognized people and that are non-partisan. And also the appointment process, it's also very good, because even though the executive has the power to designate the commissioners, the Congress have to approve them. And the other part of the autonomy is actually the powers that IFAI has, because the law states that the resolutions of the IFAI are mandatory for the ministries and from the federal executive. So that means if IFAI says that a certain information should be disclosed, they don't have any other instance for appealing. Guaranteeing that the instance of oversight has as much power as it could, it's good for the exercise of the right. IFAI also has the power to rule, to issue administrative codes regarding any issue related to access to information. So for example, when they created the system to access to information, the INFOMEX, which is now called, they had the power to rule on how that system was going to be. Also, when IFAI has like several appeals regarding one issue, and they discover that like they should establish criteria, they can do that through the administrative codes. So they have the power to rule on things related to access to information. They should promote the use of the law. They should train civil society, and they should train public servants in this culture of transparency and access to information. And the other great function that IFAI has is to rule and monitor and evaluate the performance of the federal executive regarding this. So IFAI has also this part, which is more to take care of the demand. And now IFAI will also be in charge of taking care of private information, not only in the government, but also from private enterprises. Access to information and transparency is like a day-to-day permanent struggle. So it really doesn't work if people don't ask information. Fortunately, in Mexico, that hasn't been the case, and every year IFAI receives more requests and more appeals. So I think that's very important, and that's because of the processes, that they were very clear, and IFAI created this system in internet where you can request information and you don't have to go to the ministry. You can get the information from your home. You just need a computer and internet. But even if you don't have internet, the process is very easy because they have like the rules for providing information. So that's very important. That's a very, very important part of that. It's where you can see that information technologies really help every day. Now we have a very good culture on what access to information and transparency is. So now you really know that public servants are well aware that they should be, they could be asked for anything, anytime. And I think that was being very important. People are becoming more and more aware of what can they do with this right. And also the people that do use this information, this right, it's when they request information, they don't keep the information from themselves. So I think that people are realizing that they should access to information, and it's not that hard, and they might get the information. So that's one thing that I would say that it's very good.